Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be a fantastic Friday. You know why? Because it's just another day, and thank God that we're a part of it. We invite you to be, in tune and involved and get informed and maybe enlighten us. It's open line, 949-8837, or toll free with the compliments of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. Tell you what, as we near the end of this month, and today? Seemingly, getting close to the last Fridays as they approach. Christmas is not that far away. Pirates Week is coming up between now and then. Well, there's a lot to happen, so why don't you share with us? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us. It is open line. Who's going to be the first caller? You know what? Sometimes it's always good to be the first in line. Other times you think, let me see how this thing pans out and then I'll jump in. But leaders and followers, the song says follow the leader. Well, who's going to lead? 949-837, 949-6990. Or if you prefer, be willing to take up the kind offer of Flow and use their toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. I'll just quickly share with you in relation to communications and the like. Schools are starting back. Believe a few teachers are already going back from what I can see. I certainly know that a few have started setting up their classrooms and getting stuff in order, all excited for the new school year. Students, on the other hand, have, from what I can tell, mixed feelings. One, it's good to get back to see their friends and reconnect. A number of them have been off the island for the most part. Some have been here, but despite the benefits of social media, they haven't had, strangely enough, as much contact with their friends physically. And I share that in that for some of us, we believe that the means to communicate is using, let's say, WhatsApp, for instance, or even email. There are other platforms. But as one student said, and as one parent quickly confirmed, how many of us are aware of the different ways our children, irrespective of whether they're teenagers or the newly minted college grads, that they can communicate with each other? And what I found even more intriguing was the notion that for some of us, being in contact with your friends mean physically in contact, sitting, across from them, having a chat, having a quick six-up, maybe shuffle a few cards and play a game of Uno or whatever it is that your favorite card game. Some of you is poker, others blackjack, some are just, a good game of rummy. But for many, contact means, I message you, not even necessarily speaking, and certainly not even having a video chat, but just messaging, posting and exchanging it. And as I was talking to the parent who also happens to be an educator, the concerns were, what is that doing to people? Not just waiting for the research to indicate that it's probably affecting their brain, their social skills, their abilities to write, much less read, but what is it doing for social interaction? Then that led us to sort of get on to some other discussions. It is open line, and if it's a Friday means probably for some that tonight you're going to be out and about with friends having a chat about the work and the weekend ahead. For others, they're just exhausted and can't wait. It's probably the earliest they'll get to bed, all week. And for others, it's just another day because tomorrow was just like today and yesterday and the day after is going to probably be the same. Mixed, again, for different people. But the parent shared that our young people, for the most part, seem to be more acutely aware of things that are happening globally. Sometimes they are aware of things that are happening locally as well. But it could be from the perspective of, what the older ones of us would probably say, well, the gossip, the mile road, the things that are happening, not necessarily the official communications coming through our media houses. But as she was sharing, from her youngest, to her oldest, they're aware that Amazon is on fire. She didn't know that until, they mentioned it to her. Seemingly, and the oldest of our children, she says, has made a concerted effort to take the youngest, despite the significant age gap, to sort of monitor, not necessarily be another parent, but a responsible older sibling, and help to guide and to nurture and to, navigate some of the things. And she thought, wow, that's excellent, because couldn't come at a better time with all that's happening within the family and the finances and the like. And she shared, now, was that something that she did by design? Because she did, she would like to know what it is so that she can repeat it, but also share with her friends. But thankfully, it has happened. And so this thing is transpiring within her household. The two of those siblings are able to share a perspective relative to what is happening in the world. But as she was listening to them, she said that she saw where obviously there were concerns on, both the part of the younger as well as the older. And as they were chatting, she wondered to what extent these pressures could have. Could it create more anxiety amongst them, more apprehension? Could it cause them to become a little bit more, sort of weighed down with the perils that are in the world? And then she says, as they were talking about it, the comment came up, well, is this the end of times? What is happening? The obvious discussion initially is about global warming and the like, and the concerns of man's impact on our environment. After all, the Amazon rainforest is on fire. Is it deliberate? Is it because it's dry? And as she's listening to these conversations, well, challenging. 949-8837, 949-6990. It is open line as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. And certainly want you to weigh in. But as I listen to this parent who has shared, is an educator, within our schools, and as she herself has shared, as a parent, you have children. Like some parents, you plan what you think you're going to do with your children. You plan when you think you would like to start your families, but life sometimes has a plan of its own. So you may have a child, year 1, and then year 3, and then year 7. And then you might realize, whoa, it's been year 10 between the last child and the next one, and that was unplanned. Is it a blessing and the like? So life is like that. But as we were listening to what she was sharing, let me ask of you, as she asked of us. She said, are we consciously aware of the different ways our children communicate with their friends? Are we obviously aware that as they're playing games online, that in her case, she has a much older child. The age difference between the oldest and the youngest, a significant number of years. Great that the oldest has taken a very active interest in the youngest, what is happening in that life and what and when and where and who and the like, which is great. But the youngest child now has sort of adopted some of the oldest child's friends. So they're online playing, and what does that mean? How does that pan out? But that's in that environment where she knows, but then the obvious concerns are there other people that she doesn't know? But then are there ways that they're communicating that we're not aware of? many of us probably know about email and WhatsApp and some of those other places where we post too much. But are there other things? And she says, even, a parent like her who, because of her profession, because of her own sort of commitment to her own well-being and her own involvement, she tries to be as much as possible aware of these things. So she tries to keep up with the language and lingo, tries to understand, well, what is the newest way? But more things are emerging daily, and she realized that not only is there sort of an unwritten language, as it were, there seems to be an unwritten code where the younger people, and not necessarily the adolescents or the preteens or the, as she calls it, the newly minted college grads, but they seem to know that there are certain platforms that only them know about, that they consciously, as she puts it, a secret code, they only share amongst themselves and the rest of us don't know. Well, is that the case? We're going to pause and we're going to take a first break. Why don't you reach out to me, shout, share your thoughts with us. You want to say, hey, let's make it a day where we praise the government for all things and give them credit for everything? Or you want to make it a day where we say, you know what, let's beat them up on everything because after all, they are the government? Or are we going to be objective and impartial, objectively look at things and say, hey, how can we critically assess what's before us and see if we can constructively come to some sort of meaningful solutions? You never know what we'll be able to, put forward unless we have the courage, the conviction, and a level of tenacity, a drive, that resolve, that resilience to be able to do just that. So we invite you to share your thoughts with us. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Parents, do you know what time it is?
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
But it's not Christmas time. But school is nearly back in session. Is your child ready for the school year? Stop by Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village and pick up all of your child's stationery supplies. With 30% off selected items, you won't need to break the bank to get your little one prepared for the school year. You have enough to worry about. Make back to school a breeze with Savannah Pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, or call 946-3336.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning-fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now, you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise its valued customers and the motoring public that the authority will be restricting traffic movement along Shamrock Road near the intersection with Aricola Drive on Sunday, 25th August, 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. to facilitate planned works. Traffic management will be set up to direct the flow of traffic in the area, and all motorists have been asked to drive with caution to ensure your own safety as well as that of the Water Authority staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of its customers and the motoring public as it undertakes these works, and do apologize for any inconveniences caused.
Attention!
Family and friends, now hear this.
Le Classique has up to 75% off all shoes for men and women.
Family and friends, call your auntie, call your mother, call your sister. All shoes on sale, 30, 40, and yes, up to 75% off.
Uncle Joe, the land belts on sale too, 40% off and up to size 4 to 4. Le Classique Family and Friends sale.
This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Miss it? Your motto.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Did you know the cruise berthing facility will not cause flooding in Georgetown? In fact, wave walls will be built in addition to the piers, and marine engineers say that this could reduce the force of incoming waves. Learn more and spread the word.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. It's open line 949-8037, 949-6990. Likewise, you can send us your thoughts on our WhatsApp 925-3261. Or if you so choose, you can even email talktoday@candw.ky. And in the studio, if you look around and you happen to be on YouTube, well, you'll see it's open line. That's just me, myself, and I, but obviously under the good guidance of Miss Susan, who's right behind there controlling the boards and making everything run smoothly. Well, as I was sharing with you, the whole notion that we're going back to school, and not that we should talk about it so much that it becomes this thing that causes even much sort of consternation and apprehension and all the other things that may make us feel unsettled. But if we can do it in a way that creates excitement, and hopefully, teachers, the schools, the homes, everybody buying into the same sort of equation, so that that excitement isn't misguided. That isn't, what I say, you build you up, then you come for a big letdown. No, man. Education is supposed to be fun, and the work that you do is supposed to empower you, educate you, inform you, inspire you. And be so motivated that you have this propensity to learn, because you didn't know something and now you know it, not to make you arrogant, but to make you more confident, to give you a greater sense of conviction and position you that you see that through that knowledge you're able to attain great heights. Now, that first day of school for that student, how are we making that? Is this big, difficult, very, very horrible experience, or is it filled with wonderful opportunities of exploration? Many of us respond to things differently, sometimes not realizing that unconsciously we've been set up already to fail because of how it's been presented and how we have now formed this perception. But having said that, as we go into this, is there a way, whether it's that last year of high school for that student who's based there locally, but even those who are going to be off the board in school, is there a way that we can make it even better? Perhaps not necessarily undo all the bad that has happened, the preceding years, but to make this a really, really wonderful, wonderful year. But that first day, that is going to be the start of, beautiful things to come. What can we do? Now, are we willing to hold ourselves to a higher standard, whether we're a parent or whether we're a pupil or whether we're the principal of the school, and through our management approach with our teachers, are we going to do that? Each one does what you can do best. That's improve your own self and outlook. That would make it better for everybody else. Not idealistic, certainly shouldn't be considered naive, certainly is possible. You want to get healthier, you can talk about it, or you can go and act and start walking and running and swimming and exercising, speaking to your physician and your dietitian, finding a buddy to help you to make sure that you're held accountable. And you know what? You mightn't be able to run that far for the first month or the first year, but consistently, perhaps in a decade, even if it took a decade, you might be able to run even further. You might even be able to run a marathon. That might not be your objective. You might decide, I can run good, but I've never been able to run a mile in under 5 minutes or under 4 minutes. That may be your objective. Just do it wisely, safely, and set your goals that they're attainable. Now, having said all of that, what are our goals? What are we trying to achieve for ourselves? Well, let me hear from you. 949-8037, 949-6990. I say all that to share that I had a very interesting discussion. I was hoping, honestly, that between as I said to the guy, the liquid courage and the good food that was dangled, that he would have been willing to come and say, you know what, it's time that people hear from him. So that those of us who call him friend, those of us who look to him for counsel, those of us for whom he is still positioned to discipline, would take on board what he shares. Not because of his age, not only because of his experience, not only because of his expertise, but because of what I think most of us would agree, his humility, his genuine, sincere love for this country, his service to date and continues. It's great that you reached a certain point in your life and you can say, well, maybe it's because of age, maybe because of the number of years of you've worked, that you can step away and not have to be obligated to go in and, how did he put it? Work for the man. Keep just grinding away. Now, his concern was if I came on today and said some of the things that he was saying in the last few weeks, how would it be perceived? So I did ask him, is it okay if I somehow repeat some of the things? And maybe pose it as a question, maybe just say it as he did, as a statement. How would it be perceived? So, argument's sake, what if he said, well, he thinks, and maybe he refers to the premier for argument's sake, or maybe he refers to the opposition leader, or maybe he refers to the speaker. But let's say he's referring to one of the politicians who should be, either because A, they're elected and now are representatives of the people, or B, they've been there before, and so therefore they should know, or at least expected to know. So he says, what if, I was to ask the question, are they really sincere about what they're doing for the country? And what if he was to say, well, let me expound further, and are they sincere about their commitment to, and fill in the blanks, education, infrastructure, health, the development of, tourism, the promotion of Cayman as a, top financial center, all these other things. He said, how would that be received? Would it be that these people saying, wow, but I thought he was our friend, now he's throwing us under the bus? Would they hear his voice and say, well, it's midday, obviously it isn't a case, and not that anybody should, or hopefully, I didn't say it, that anybody should get the impression that, what did it say, loose lips, sink ships, or what was the other phrase we often hear, a drunken mind reveals what a sober mind conceals? Nothing of that nature. But what if they were to hear that and recognize that in the middle of the day, here is someone not just eloquent, but very, very coherent, and very, very much in a deliberate, conscious tone, is saying something. Would we be willing to listen? His view, when I asked that, he said, no, probably not. We're going to probably do what we've always done. Well, I can see that you're no longer my friend. We'll accuse him of, batting for the other team, or having ulterior motives or some other objective. Yet, if we were to hire a consultant to review our business, to say, how can you make my business more profitable? How can you improve the efficiencies? How can you make me more money? Would we tell them what we wanted them to tell us? Or would we say, listen, paying you a lot of money, have access to all that we have here, so that you can improve what we're doing, so at the end of the day, we can do it better and make more money? Presumably, that's what you would probably do. It would be, in his mind, he says, when he was, and I won't tell you his profession, but when he was in school, he didn't go in there and pay the teacher what to tell him and pay the teacher for the passing grade, because at the end of the day, he might have come up with a degree that looked good, but if he didn't know what he was doing, how long do you think he would have survived, he said, in his workplace? And he said, that's what we're doing too oftentimes. We believe that we can buy our way. We can either bribe people or we can threaten them in order to get what we want. And he believes that has happened too much, sometimes unconsciously, but perhaps even in a few instances, consciously in our society, over the decades. If it is, as he has alleged, then that is to our detriment. Now, had he said any of that publicly, would we heed what he shared? Would we enlist into it, take him on and challenge him on fact, on principle? Or would we say, yep, as he fears would happen, I see now you have another plan? And as we were listening to him, now maybe it is because of who he is and what he represents and the experiences he's had, and obviously the expertise that he possesses, that some of us, being much younger, may be more enamored with his eloquence, his charm, his charisma. But if you always found that what someone says comes to pass and proves to be insightful, would you not be wise to listen? Hopefully in that instruction you develop your own sense of discernment that you can say, well, okay, today you said this, but the other week you also said this. How are, the two different? You might say, well, here's new facts, but if they're contradicting themselves, and you're able now as a student to have been able to develop a greater sense of insight, you can respectfully challenge what was said. And you see, that's the other thing that has happened too often. Again, specifically, we see it within our business sector. We don't provide for any sense of, opportunities for the young upperly mobile Caymanian professional to eventually rise to the top and take over. So that idea of succession planning, whether in the private or the public sectors, aren't where it is, to his view, should be. But more importantly, even in the political arena, the things that the new political entrants are being taught, or they're copying, or they're seeing, oh, that's the way you get elected, are they going to be sustainable and good for the country? It may be the way to get elected and to stay elected. He gave us an example. He said, what if the new political entrant sees that, to get elected, you either have to go around to your voters and give them fried chicken, and come Christmas time, turkey and ham and whatever else there is. That's what you do to get elected. So you do that, year after year, and no big deal. Come election time, once you get, one more vote than your nearest competitor, you've won the seat. You're now elected, or you remain elected. Or you find that, well, what you do, you get information on your political opponents, and you make sure that you keep them at bay, and you say, listen, if you try anything, this is what's going to happen. Now, not saying that as he shared what transpires in our society, but what if he says it was different? What if it's about a collective vision and you're working together? And like anything else, if you serve, and you serve diligently and sincerely, you probably will physically and even sometimes mentally become tired, just like in service clubs and other organizations in which he's a part. He said, we have a reason why we bring you in for a time, whether it's a year or two, because you're expected to work exceedingly hard and be dedicated and devoted in your role while you're in that office, that post, for that period of time. But it's to bring other people along, and so that you too can take a breather and step back, but still be able to consult. But here, he says, we seem to have a different approach. And we see it in other jurisdictions, regionally and internationally, where this person has been in the seat, 10 years, 30 years, 50 years. They die in office, as it were. Doesn't mean they weren't effective, but were they complacent? Were they complicit, as he asks? Were they truly making the most valuable contribution? Now, he says something that I hear a few share, often. A new broom sweeps clean. Now, when you think about that, when that, old broom, as they say, but the old broom knows the corners, right? How are we balancing that? Well, as you can tell, I had a good chance to, absorb, like a sponge, some of the things that he has shared, and I've been benefiting from it. But I wonder when and will we get to a point where we not only have the courage as a people to stand and speak out, but to do so respectfully, responsibly, and in a way that is constructively looking at making things better. I'll share with you, and the port, the cruise port, what is it called? The cargo ship port. That's a big discussion, not only because of the money, but because of what some of you have shared publicly, some have said privately, even those who are for, and even those who are against. And I'm grateful for some of the comments. But when we come back, I want to ask, you may recall there was a point in time where there were some people, not only those in the public sector, so not only civil servants, but presumably a few employees in the private sector who were either A, told, allegedly told by their employer, their supervisors, or B, were given the impression, listen, we need you to either A, get out there and actively support or actively oppose. Now, what do you make of that? Want to weigh in when we come back? Hey, let's mix it up if you so choose. 949-8037 or 949-6990. And of course, toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's eye exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Get half off a complete pair of glasses with any student's eye exam now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook, located in Caymanian Village.
Terms and conditions apply.
The best back-to-school sale is now at Reflections. Buy one, get one half priced on all back-to-school shoes. Over 100 styles of your favorite brands. Nike, Adidas, Puma, Reebok, and more. Back-to-school savings on shoes for toddlers, children, teens, and adults. Buy one pair, get the second pair half price. Or buy one pair of shoes and get a backpack half priced. The best back-to-school sale at Reflections. Now located on Shedden Road, across from Napa Auto Parts. Beside Mango Tree. Reflections. The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Hello, Cayman. You're listening to contestant number 3 in the Miss Teen Cayman Islands pageant, 18-year-old Monina Thompson, proudly representing our lovely capital, Georgetown. 3 words I would use to describe myself are goofy, compassionate, and ambitious. I am pursuing a degree in psychology with education, and my sponsor would like me to highlight mental health. I have always been an environmental activist, and that's why I chose advocating for the environment as my platform. Community service plays a large role in my life. Being avid about my island, I am a member of CPR Cayman. I thoroughly enjoy partaking in sports from basketball to boxing. I entered looking to challenge the pageant world by being authentically me. I look forward to seeing you all on August 24th at the Lion Center for the Miss Teen Cayman Islands pageant.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today, 949-8037 or 949-6990. It is open line as we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us. Hey, we are part of this. We're in it together. 949-8837 or toll free 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, as we were going to the break, 2 things quickly. One was asking a question relative to allegations in our society that seemingly, either directly or very strongly suggested, that there are individuals, employees in our society, both in the private sector and in the public sector, so civil servants as well as people who are employed by private companies, so banks and trust companies and accounting firms, insurance firms, law firms, retail shops, so the private sector as it were, who are being either told directly or indirectly, deliberately or sort of, more of like by the way, by their employers, their supervisors, listen, we don't want you involved with this thing, call up the court petition for or against, or you can't be, you shouldn't be, or you must be. Now, what is your view on that? If you have a particular perspective, do you think it's worse that civil servants, for instance, should be told that it can't be, or the private sector employees being told that it must be on one side or the other? Does it matter? Is it one and the same? The reason why I ask is that as we were listening to the gentleman earlier this morning, he was saying to us, listen, the health and strength of our society rests in its people, primarily by the example of its electorate, its voters, who actively get involved and engage in the electoral process. Not just by, but specifically getting out on election day and casting out an informed vote and making sure that their ballot counts. But equally, being involved in the process. They themselves, standing for election and contesting a seat in whatever electoral district, nominating and supporting candidates, getting involved with the candidates, election, and seeing how they can help to formulate policies and influence their agendas. Seems like the norm. But then he started to give us some statistics of other much more sort of advanced, developed economies, and they said, would it surprise you that come election day, even though they may have tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people or whatever the numbers are in the respective countries he referenced, that 30, 40, 50, 60% turnout, whereas in Cayman, 70, 80, maybe even 90% at times. The last election saw a slight decrease in the number of people despite an increase in the number of those eligible. Is that just because we made a change and people weren't sure that they wanted to participate? Were they deliberately trying to send some sort of message and a protest that they didn't like the change? Is it that they didn't understand it? But what if it means that now they've just become apathetic and say, it doesn't make sense because the government's going to do what the government's going to do and we don't have a say. And then, 10 elections from now, we now have 30 or 40% of the people, even though our economies have advanced, we have less participation. If you do the math, as he quickly scratched it on a piece of paper and said, if you think you got this amount of people and only this amount to turn out, only this amount elected, really and truly, how many people relative to the percentage of the population is really making decisions for the rest of us? Well, that's a thought. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm all right, and how are you doing?
Listen, honestly, I feel so good that when I looked in the mirror this morning, I thought I was actually tall. I'm good, man. I'm blessed. I'm thankful.
When you see, I was, watching this video being published in Cayman Mar about one bus driver crossing bad words. One, it appeared to be a tourist, and this video gone various in the Facebook. It's like almost 15,000 views. It's not a good picture that we have somebody like this to drive a public bus in Cayman. And we have a couple of those in the same behavior every day. Their attitude and their language is not something, represent this island. And I don't see no action being taken by the Director of Public Transport or by the Transport Board or any action yet. I don't hear about any action yet. But I hear there is investigation by about the matter by the public transport. But I don't hear no action yet being taken by the Director of Public Transport or by the Transport Board. And the problem is, if you go to the computer, Wayne, the computer of the public transport, you find over 500-600 complaints. And those complaints, never any action from the general public and no action by the Director of Public Transport. That tells me that the Director of Public Transport is not doing his job. And we sick and tired of complaining and filing complaints. Not just me, other people I am maybe the less one file complaint, but other people who live in the Eastern District. And those people, the whole bus system in Cayman has become a disgrace, and it's become that controlled by people who have bad behavior and have, I'm not saying all drivers, I don't want to judge all drivers, I'm saying a few of them who is behaving bad, given a bad picture about the whole public bus system. And those quite a few, maybe 7, 8 drivers, those need to be out of the system. The second thing is, Wayne, which is that there is people who is in a work permit in the public bus system, buy a bus. Imagine he buy a bus, conduct a business without a proper business license, make a Caymanian take the bus, put the bus in his name, and he is conducting business in this country without no justification, no law allow him to run a business, but he make a Caymanian collect from him every month certain money, and he is, and I have the names of those drivers. I have a list. I'm ready to see the Director of Public Transport, and I'm very sure he aware of some of them, and that is all things tell us that this Director of Public Transport, he is not doing his job right. He is not taking no action. I don't know why he's scaring of those people, and it's becoming a bad picture in this country about, the way how some of them behave. And some of them should go, for example, from here. Yesterday, I went in the bus with one woman named Sharon. She is a public bus driver. She said she's not going to East End, and her route should be to East End, and she refused to carry people to East End. Only she said she's going to go to the gas station in North Side and return from there. And that is every day. There is other people who in the same public system, they run in buses, and they don't want go to East End or to North Side, and they just go to Bodentown and come back. That is the situation, and we need to action from the government, from the governor, from Mr. Manderson, from all of the people in this country who in charge. We need to see an action against those drivers, and a serious action. Or the other option, why they don't give this whole public transport to somebody to control it, who can make those drivers go to their routes.
Right. I think the caller is absolutely correct. The idea of accountability, but also, when we're in a position, are we acting respectfully and responsibly? Sir, with that, we'll actually just let us pause now and take our break. When we come back to the callers in the queue, respectfully stay online. We want to hear from you.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Chief Officer in the Ministry of Trade, Investment, Aviation and Maritime Affairs, Eric Bush, says the new ministry has gone through a public procurement process to retain an international firm with appropriate qualifications to conduct a survey of what Cayman's footprint looks like from an international trade and investment perspective. The data will assist in the development of the new Hong Kong office, as well as overall strategy for the ministry. In international news, President Vladimir Putin ordered the Russian military today to work out a quid pro quo response after the test of a new U.S. missile banned under a now-defunct arms treaty. In Sunday's test, a modified ground-launched version of a U.S. Navy Tomahawk cruise missile accurately struck its target more than 310 miles away. The test came after Moscow and Washington withdrew from the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Speaking at a meeting of his Security Council, Putin charged the U.S. waged a propaganda campaign, alleging Russian breaches of the pact to untie its hands to deploy the previously banned missiles in different parts of the world. He ordered the Defense Ministry and other agencies to, quote, take comprehensive measures to prepare a symmetrical answer. The U.S. said it withdrew from the treaty because of Russian violations, a claim that Moscow has denied. In a sharp escalation of tensions over fires ravaging the Amazon, France today accused Brazil's president of having lied to French leader Emmanuel Macron and threatened to block a European Union trade deal with South American states, including Brazil. Ireland joined in the threat of possible economic repercussions for Brazil and its South American neighbors, starkly illustrating how the Amazon is becoming a battleground between Brazil's president and increasingly critical governments alarmed that vast swatches of the rainforest are going up in smoke. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today, 949-8037 or 949-6990. It's open line though. Let's take our callers. Welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Hello, Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, man. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, friend. Good afternoon.
How are
you
you?
Doing?
Well, I'm very thankful, man. I'm always tempted to address you formally in a different capacity, but let me not do that to you, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. I like the sounds of that. I trust you having a good day, man.
Yes, we haven't spoken for a while, so I just thought I'd give you a quick buzz. I know your lines were a little bit quiet for a while, and then I tried to call in, and the phone is ringing off. I don't know what happened today, but anyway, we're connected, so that's the most important thing.
Well, thanks for telling us publicly, because Miss Susan works diligently, but sometimes, boy, it seems that there is some intermittent, reception. Put it that way.
Yeah,
all right.
it might have been some technical difficulties, but anyway, I just have a couple of minutes to just share something with you, and to hopefully after this, maybe your lines will get more active. I don't know.
Let's see.
But
and hopefully we still have a job.
Yeah. Yes. Well, there's always precedent to draw upon as far as that's concerned, so we can look at that later. But there was an interesting article in the Compass today on page 10 about the tunnel flooding, the tunnel that is under the bypass there near Cayman Bay, and that I think the pumps or something not working properly or something, and the underpass that leads from the school to the National Gallery. I think there was some photos and whatnot about this flooding. And it struck me that that's the same organization that's talking about constructing this iconic tower, and a tower that could go 30 or 50 stories high in Grand Cayman, which is absurd to start with. But what struck me about this article in the Compass today on page 10 was, the water table in Cayman. The water table is so near the surface of the land. It's probably, our water table is probably on average, 4 to 5 feet at best before you hit water. So what struck me about that article is that if you were to try to build this iconic tower, what were you going to do to displace the water that's below there? Because, you're doing a tower, you're doing a building that's 30, 40, 50 stories high. You're going to have to go down 10, 12 stories underneath the surface to be able to give that thing the support and the foundation and all that superstructure below there to support that building. And with Cayman water table being what it is, how are these wonderful engineers going to do that? I was in New York. Myself and my wife were in New York in May, and we went to visit the World Trade Center Memorial. I don't know if you've been there since they opened that memorial, but it's a wonderful, it's sad, but it's a wonderful, interesting tour. And you go in there and you go down below the ground, below the surface of the whole park there, the memorial, and you get to the actual foundations of the World Trade Center, and you see the foundations and whatnot. But what you also see is a huge, huge retaining wall that was put there. And when the towers were first built, that retaining wall was built to keep out the Hudson River from flooding the building and that area during the construction and thereafter. And that was put there. And luckily, during the attacks of September 2001, September 11, 2001, that wall was not breached, right? But it struck me that that's one of the things you do to keep water out, and that's huge, very expensive undertaking. The other thing that we noticed also when we were in Europe in June and in Berlin, there's a lot of building going on in Berlin for years now, and rebuilding and building. And whenever they do a large building, that's a tall building there, what they have to do in Berlin is that they have to, because the same issue they have with the water table, they actually have to pipe the water from the construction site, and they do above ground pipes, huge pipes, metal pipes, that they run from those construction sites, and they run the water throughout the city into the river to get rid of the water in that construction site. And so my point is simply this: if the engineers from the DART group is talking about this iconic tower, what is the plan for dealing with the water? And if the pumps in the pumping system that they have can't handle that little underpass with the water table there, how are you going to handle the water that's on the ground from a huge, tall, powerful, iconic tower? I think the whole thing needs to be forgotten about. We don't need it. But from an engineering point of view, there are some serious problems. And you'll have to get up. You know how those big dams that operate on the rivers and stuff, and they have the pumping stations and whatnot, huge, huge pumps. You'll need something like that to run it, to keep the water out. And what happens when the power fails or you have an issue? You'll have a disaster. So I just thought I'd draw that to your attention, referring to the Compass article today, and to say, engineering-wise, we have a major problem thinking about something like as absurd as this in our small little island with our water table and our other environmental sensitivities. So that's my thought.
Well, before you go, I appreciate sharing. And just quickly, someone else messaged and said there is that concern, but there's also the issue of such a large structure above ground in a hurricane zone, not only the impact on the infrastructure relative to the provision of the services, but how that could affect surrounding properties should a hurricane come.
Definitely. I mean, there's all kinds of issues with that. With that silly idea. I don't know what kind of ignoramuses could support that and promote that. But there's all kinds of issues with that. But I'm just talking today about the on-the-ground aspects. But we could talk all day about all the other impacts, negative impacts. But I just thought that seeing the article in the Compass today just jogged my thoughts about how they're going to handle the water situation, especially in our water table and our other ecosystem. So thank you for your time. My time is up unless you have anything else you want to ask. I'm running late for an appointment. But,
all right. Well, I'll save you from me and ask you the question privately. How about that?
Okay. Good talking to you as usual. God bless, and God bless all of our people. and thank God for His protection during the hurricane season.
Amen.
So
All right, brother.
Take care.
Talk to you soon. All right, let's pause and let's go to the phones. Yes. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Yes, sir, I'm okay. Good afternoon to all our listeners. I am here at Spot Bay now, conducting a seaman's salute, seaman's honors given to two great seamen and another seafaring man from the island. Right now, I'm watching a giant container ship right off Spot Bay now with 4,000 containers, 900 feet long, and it's called in to do a salute for Mr. Johnny Scott from Spot Bay, Cayman Brac, and Mr. Oliver Rivers, member of the Seafarers Association of Cayman Brac. He passed away yesterday, Mr. Oliver Rivers. The ship is honoring him right now, and also Mr. Jude Walton, being from his seafaring family, and his brother Joel being in charge of the Registrar of Shipping for Cayman Islands Maritime Authority. So this big container ship, Brussels, will be sounding its horn 10 long blows in about next 15 minutes. Whoever wants to see it is right off of Spot Bay now, and the sea is almost calm, beautiful out here. And we have another tugboat en route from Louisiana going to to Guyana to work in the new oil field up there. That will be sounding its horn by the American captain. 10 long blows of the horn. So I actually left my lunch on the table and headed from West End to Spot Bay to have this done. But that's me. That's what I put great honors out for my fellow seamen and my family and friends of Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman or wherever in the world these things take place. That's the way I do it. So anyone wanting to get pictures of the ship, if they head to Spot Bay now, they can get pictures of the ship, and we're hoping to hear the horn in about 15 minutes when it's passing the eastern end of the island at its closest point. And these containers are loaded with groceries and hardware products from South America, Mexico, United States, and going Dominican Republic, and offloading and loading more containers and then on to Spain and Europe. So quite an interesting thing.
Well, it is. I mean, what you do should not only remind our people the importance of, showing our respect to seafarers, but should remind us equally of the maritime heritage and how we as a people must always be willing to show hospitality to those who come to us as visitors and even come to live among us. But Mr. Raymond, from that perspective, Mr. Raymond, when we look at it, how do you think our people, Caymanians and those who live here, how do you think we respond to the seafaring heritage? Do we see it for what is, some have said, it's the foundation, is what put us where we are? Or otherwise? Maybe that's an unfair question to ask you. But next line, all right. Thanks very much, Mr. Raymond. Let's go to the other caller. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne. How are you?
Very blessed and thankful, and pray the same for you.
Well, I've been here a long time, and I always listen to your talk show.
Well, thank you. Hopefully it adds value and at least somewhat, a bit of enjoyment to your day.
Much.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm a bus driver. I operate a bus from West Bay to Georgetown.
Yes, sir.
That Jardinian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have nothing against nobody, Mr. Dwayne. But as I'm driving right now, I have passengers who have complained about him.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to understand himself, Mr. Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
Miss Sharon he's talking about. Miss Sharon is a very nice, decent lady. Very respectable. You understand? He has no discipline, no manners. The other day he took a bus, right, Mr. Dwayne?
Mm-hmm.
And he went in the front. I was at the bus depot. And there was a nice little lady, Indian lady, coming in the bus front. Whenever he comes to the bus depot, he likes to go in the front. He's closed the door. The driver turned to him and said, "Sir, why did you close the door?" He said, he don't like those Indians. He don't want them. The Indian come and turn to him and say, "Sir, you cannot do that. This is a public transport bus." You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So when he did that now, it caused a fusion. The man said, all right, if you don't want to stay in the bus front, go in the back. Gentleman is right, Mr. Dwayne. Because it's a public transport bus.
Must get it to everybody.
You understand, sir?
Mm-hmm.
So he got vexed. He went to where reflection is. He saw the director. The director that he's talking about is a very decent, respectable man. That man made many changes in the bus system, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You understand, Mr. Dwayne?
Yes, sir.
It's not a taxi. It's a public bus. You can't discriminate people. You cannot make people. Who is you? Ask him when he coming from West, he works at Beach Suites, and ask him how much driver pick him up. Because his manners and his disrespectful ways, no one wants to carry Mr. Dwayne. I never call on your show one day. I listen to you every day. From even when them ban him off a rooster, till when he get banned off a radio Cayman. He needs to realize himself. That's not a respectable way. I don't know what he's looking, but he needs to have respect. Respect goes a long way. Understand, Mr. Dwayne?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I respect your show, and I listen to you even the other day when he was talking something weird. He never concerned what the topic you was on, and you cut him out. I listen to you every day. That Jardinian need to understand himself. The bus driver's not doing him nothing. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So I don't know what him want like him feel like the bus system is or Cayman is. Miss Sharon, poor Miss Sharon, oh God, that lady, she not, when she's even in the bus depot, Mr. Dwayne,
yes, sir.
She don't come out our bus, sir. She sit down in our bus. The same gentleman who him go to the director, because all of it was coming from the day when him lock out the Indian lady, you know. We drive a public bus. We no matter who you is, where you're from. This is a public bus. You can't let it do it like you own a bus. You don't own a bus. You're taking a public bus going to north side. So you can't lock on the door and say you don't want. No! That's not right, Mr. Dwayne. And then he will go to the director and I believe, if you don't do something about this, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean the man have the bus system under rules and regulations which we respect? You understand, Mr. Dwayne?
Yes, sir.
You get 3 minutes in the bus depot. You go when your time finish, Mr. Dwayne. As long as your time finish, you go. Right? You can't turn around and run for nobody. No, that's the way Mr. Dirtbanks tries to set the bus system under rules and regulations. And it works to everybody. Because if everybody go in the bus depot and do their 3 minutes and go, you sure getting a few people.
Right.
You understand me, I say?
Yes, sir.
The
Yes,
way
sir.
I come bash the man, but that no right. I don't respect that. Why? To him not get team ways? No, who is him? Him not Caymanian. Him not Jamaican. Him not Trinidadian.
Well,
Listen, me, man.
yeah.
I never call on your show, you know. But every day, me can't tell them. I not listen to At 104. Me not listen to Vibes. Me listen to your talk show and your wagwan. The man need to cool. Him need a one white man that tell me, you know. He says the people like those them need a chill pill.
All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing. Any other thoughts you want for us, sir? All right.
Sure yet. Honestly to God.
Yeah.
But I respect your show because I listen to what's going on.
Yes, sir.
The Jardinian need to chill. You know much bus driver in a bus park right now while he came down? Because I'm weird. But what? Because I want to laugh. We don't want to get ourselves in a trouble.
Well, sometimes, you know, I appreciate that people may present, you know, at this position that challenges are resolved and are restrained, but, you know, I'm glad to see that we're respectable. Chill pill for all of us sometimes, no? Hey, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too, sir. Enjoy your weekend and continue to be safe out there.
May God bless you. Have a good weekend, Mr. Dwayne.
Amen. Blessings to you, my phone. Hi. All right, let's try another line. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. I'm talking about Indian guy, so.
Okay. Could you help me out? I am having a challenge hearing you. I don't know if it's the radio or otherwise. If it is, just turn off. But thanks for calling.
The Jardine, so I'm talking about the Mall Road
Uh-huh.
and the video.
Mm-hmm.
The driver was talking to one of his friends, was cursing his friend. The both of them have arguments.
Mm-hmm.
He was not tourist or nothing. So that he telling lie on the guy.
Okay. From that perspective, then, well, unfortunately, I guess we see so much of what happens here that videos just can take things out of context. But share with us. So the conversations between a driver and a friend, and they're getting a little bit of a heated discussion.
Yeah, there was an argument. He was not tourist, but he telling lies. He was a tourist. He was not tourist.
Mm-hmm. Does when people record videos, and I say just generally speaking, we see and we hear concerns expressed by people where say there's an issue, instead of people dialing, for help, they take out their phones and they video it. So our society is not just in Cayman, but sadly, everywhere has changed where we seem to do that. So when people are recording these things and they're posting it, is that causing more harm than good, you think?
Should be a charge for that, because that man going and beat up everybody in County and beat them.
Yeah, I'm challenged. I think it's my connection here. Yeah, I'm not hearing you properly on that one. I'm sorry. Hello, caller? Okay. I do. Maybe for my benefit or not. Let's try the other line. Good afternoon. Welcome. You on Talk Today?
Brother Dwayne, is that you?
Yeah, yes, sir. How are you?
Starting Dwayne, this is your number one from you, Kingston.
I
didn't hear my lady answer the phone, that's why.
Oh, hold on. Now, what? Just because she's from the Brack, now you already claim ownership? I mean, now, come on, the rest of us out here may have a stake in this thing,
You don't have the voice like her, You can't do it, none of you.
I won't argue with you. I think you were right on that one, yeah. This time.
You shouldn't think. You should know.
How are you, sir?
I try to live while I'm dying listening to your show, but Dwayne,
yes, sir.
Something got to keep your show going. So, brother, keep on going.
You was a troublemaker too,
No, I'm not troublemaker.
You sure you're not from West Bay?
About the people calling us say he does.
Yes, sir.
I know what he was saying first, but I said, if he didn't have the car, you were going to say, well, I want to call us today, so.
Oh, boy. That's true, eh? But
we got to get something going to keep you busy, man.
Yeah, I could take something else, but you're right, though. But
what are you going to take?
Yeah. Let me ask. When we look at Cayman and where Cayman is today, right now, and where Cayman was, let's say before Ivan, and let's say even in the 90s and the changes that you're seeing, for the better, the same. What do you think?
No, sir. They're following the outside world and changing with them. I said it, not you.
Right, but then some people like change because change comes opportunity and a challenge, and with change, people paint their houses, right? Remember the time of traditional we paint them every Christmas, whether they needed it, painting or not. People change their wardrobe, they renovate their houses and change their furniture. And people change jobs even sometimes. Sometimes they even change girlfriends, But let me ask then, with this notion of the change, can we have the change that is better, or it always has to be bad?
You want it to be better? Tell them just keep the Cayman Islands as the Cayman Islands, not as the outside world.
But even some was, and I'm mindful because some of these people, I see them all the time, their family, their friends. But even the way we say Cayman, or we're told to say it, I mean, I struggle to say it, another way. We're made to feel that we're saying it incorrectly,
Why?
Because we're not saying it like how presumably it's supposed to be said, or is being said by those who, again, in my view, can't say Cayman. They're saying something else. So
In other words, you want it to be say Cayman.
I see. I can't even say that. You see, right? So even with the name of our country, we seem to have a problem with saying it the way it should be said. It to me is a simple, easy word. Cayman. You know, it don't matter.
Anybody that can't say that can't talk good.
Well, is it that, or is it deliberate to change? Is it that we are so insecure that we are unsure of, even our identity?
It's the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands are who don't like the word of it. Where tough luck now come.
Mm-hmm. And why I say that, so that hopefully it's maybe a little bit clearer. It isn't that your accent, intonation, your unfamiliarity with the word. I'm talking about us who should know better, who lived here all our lives, who ancestral links go back. All of a sudden now, in order to seemingly be understood by others, maybe our clients or new friends or new colleagues who have joined us and what have you, we change the way we speak. I'm not talking...
That's what I told you a while ago.
You did?
On the outside world.
You did, but why? Is this a phrase that you're familiar with? Follow fashion, bring broke neck?
I tell you one thing, the only thing I follow fashion with is pain. And the doctors don't like to see me too much.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, otherwise of that, nobody can come to me say na Cayman Island, and they can't come to me say me can't say my word backyard. Me know me Jamaica. Same way.
All right. Now you see, you had that.
Tell me say lick a Cayman not down there, or you not down the Grand Cayman.
Right.
Me up here.
Now, before you go, let me ask you, because I reached out to a friend, but he's sort of in between, as it were. Have your wheelchairs arrived at the Faith Hospital as yet?
I am waiting until Monday to call, because as far as I know, the barge came in yesterday evening.
Okay.
Maybe it hasn't got there yet. They haven't been finished unloading or what happened. I'm just waiting till Monday. I'm going to call and find out.
All right.
And I mean it.
Yeah. No. I think that it's appropriate to follow up. It's what we should do.
That's right, because those things are needed.
They're very necessary. Yes, sir.
That's why I say, and there's one thing we don't need. We don't need no tower. All right, we got enough towers now. You're going to soon start hearing down. They're getting too heavy. You're going to soon hear when it starts sinking.
True.
Look here. One of these days, I'm not going to surprise me. Even up here, this same bluff can carry us right back down. Bluff.
Boy, you never know, you know. In the times, they say.
So it's better not to put too much.
But less can be more, you know.
Huh?
Less can be more.
Less can be more?
Yep.
Okay. Any day you find less, will come out to be more.
Well, man, I'm happy to tell you, but you can, marry more and get less too. What's my going to say?
Marry more and get less?
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Well, you must have tried that. I don't know how that one went. You must know how that one went. I don't know. Anyway,
yes, sir.
I just had to call and give you something today.
Thank you for doing that, sir.
Because I was just listening. I said to myself, all right, that give something to talk about. Now everybody calling now. So you have a good open mic today.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it very much. All right.
Okay. All right. And listen. Behave yourself.
Oh, you see. Okay. I'll no. Not gonna happen.
You can't promise and all that. Have a good weekend.
You too, sir.
Bye.
Take care. All right, with that, let's pause and take our break. Hey, what do you want to talk about? The phone lines are open. As Mr. Dolan shared, it is open line. So why don't you call and talk to us, Stay tuned for Talk Today.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go, pure and cleaner.
Now reintroducing eco-friendly green Garmento fabric bags, which can be used as your clothes cover, traveling bag, etc. Also, get your fabric shirt boxes that can hold up to 10 folded shirts. And for those other shirts, put them on hangers with an eco-friendly poly cover. All bags are biodegradable. Puritan Cleaners. 3 convenient locations to serve you. Countryside, Savannah, 946-1884. Elgin Avenue, beside Off the Peg, 949-2452. 337 Eastern Avenue. Drive-through, rain or shine, 949-7104. Free pickup and delivery. Ask for ongoing discounts. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
RC Fusion, featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Nathan General Maintenance and Construction. You break it, they fix it. Call the General for a free quote. 917-7586.
RC Fusion.
Are you going away but still need to verify your signature on the cruise port referendum petition? Then head to the elections office before you leave to confirm your details with officials. Have you signed the petition and are currently off island? Email the elections office today for verification assistance at office@elections.ky.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio K-Man for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of K-Man's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio K-Man News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is open line 949-8037, 949-6990. I guess the last time I took some time off, I didn't tell anyone, didn't say anything, because, I'm a little private guy like that. But not to be disrespectful, it was intended. I'm not going to be here next week, and the week following, maybe the week after that, well, I'll probably be back. So I'll be out for a couple of days. Hopefully, nothing bad happens while I'm gone. Or if it is, maybe hopefully I'm in the middle of it. I never know. 949-8037. So just quick heads up, want you to stay informed and involved and tune in and call the talk show. A couple of guest hosts will be in the seat here. They even do a better job, I think. But I'll be out and about and off the rock, gladly taking a trip, maybe visit East End, go up to the Barkas area. Who knows? 949-8037 or 949-6990 is the way to get, one of the ways or two of the ways to call us to get in to be part of our discussions here. And if you want, you can call us toll free with the compliments of Flo. 1-800-534-8255. What's on your mind? Well, a couple of quick messages came in during the break. This one was saying that it's great that we're looking at other things, but have we forgotten about the dump? Now, presumably, they mean the Georgetown landfill. Thinking of saying it that way, I was reminded of, and the fellow says, you understand why we probably call it that, but maybe it's time that we don't, any longer, because it isn't the Georgetown landfill. Because that may give the connotation that there's one in East End, West Bay, North Side, Cayman, everywhere. It's the landfill for the country, because even what we have on the Bracken Little Cayman is, eventually sort of hopefully shared with us here so that we can do something about it properly. And it's the main landfill for the country. Now, one quick exchange with one of our listeners said that not sure that the last proposal to move the landfill to the Bodden area was the best, or is there something better? But the fact is, that particular listener's perspective is that we need to get a new landfill. Maybe trying to build it there isn't the best. Is it possible? Well, that's a question that maybe is best answered by those who aren't so vested in the perspective and can still be perceived as being objective. But it is one that needs to be addressed, as the listener has shared. And we can't let it be a project that drags on and drags on. No, he didn't phrase it that way, but that's the best way I can interpret it. And it isn't one that just because it's necessary, that the country is held hostage and whoever it is that's in charge decides, to milk, as he puts it, the country and, charges as much as possible. It should be one that is a priority, and this listener shares, and it's one that should rank there. Now, his response was simply because we asked the question on behalf of a listener, an educator, as I recall, who said, listen, why don't we ask? Because she wants it to be part of her social studies curriculum. And I think she had shared then that when they go back to school, they're expected to have a new curriculum, as it were. And so she wants, as part of her sort of introduction to the civics and the whole teaching, to see from a very early age how much our children, even in the primary school, are aware of what's happening. As we go to the phones, you'll be mindful that there was only one caller when we asked that question who said, listen, priorities in the landfill should be number one. Let's go to our phones, though. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Yes, good afternoon, Dave.
Hey, good afternoon, man. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, well, I think the landfill is the most important thing that the government needs to try to find a solution to.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the government doesn't have any solution. It seems like the opposition doesn't have any solution. I mentioned to Mr. Ard McLean the other morning concerning a recycling program, putting laws in place that people will start having their garbage separated, and the government buying garbage trucks, recycling garbage trucks that will pick up the garbage, a garbage truck for bottles, one for plastics and so forth, and start recycling our garbage in order to not put so much more garbage in the garbage dump on a daily basis like what we're doing now, because as long as we're putting more garbage in that garbage dump on a daily basis than what we're taking out, that garbage dump is only going to increase.
Right. If I could ask, because I think you make a valid point, and you shared the other day too, the priority. Thankfully others are on board with you. But let me ask one thing, well, in two parts. There are these, what do you call them? Well, recycling depots, supermarkets in different places where there's a dumpster, a bin, for glass and one for plastic and aluminum and what have you. And some of us are going and putting it in there. Let me ask two questions on that. One, any concerns, as some have shared, that, well, we're going through that exercise, but at the end of the day, it all gets combined and back into the landfill, so there's no real recycling. Do you share that perception?
The government has to make laws and let people see the seriousness of being a part of solving the solution. This problem with a positive solution such as recycling.
Right. Fair enough.
Because in the long run, we're all going to be negatively affected by it.
Right. But we have these facilities, right? So it is, as you said, right now, not law, it's voluntary effort. There are those of us who do it, very, very consistently, very diligent, and there are those of us who, So to what extent then do you think in our homes and in our businesses and in our offices that we're recycling? We're taking our trash out, and we say, well, this is recyclable, so we put it, we have our own little bins at home. How widespread do you think that approach is in our homes? Do you think it's more than half the population? Do you think it's only, a handful of people?
No, half the population ain't doing that. That's why you got to make it a law.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make it a law that people have their garbage separated, and when the garbage truck comes by, like the garbage truck for bottles comes by, and they see the people's garbage can in the front of the yard and says bottles or glass. They pick up the garbage truck for glass and bottles, picks that up and carries it away.
Right.
But to have it recycled when the next garbage truck comes by now for plastics, people that have plastics and bottles and plastic bags in the garbage can that says plastics on it, that garbage truck comes across and picks it up and takes it for recycling and so forth.
Right. But even without having that and knowing that we have these bins around the places that seemingly, for some, more convenient than for others, but they're there, could we not do that ourselves now? Take our recyclables and take them to these places on our own?
Yes, we can. But what I heard a lot of people speaking about time, not having the time to do so. And then a lot of these places that you're speaking of, sometimes when you go there, these things are overflowing.
Yeah, that is a concern. Yeah.
And Mr. Ard McLean also said that a lot of countries now aren't taking other people's garbage, even if it's recyclable stuff. So he said that will be another problem that we would be facing as a government.
Mm-hmm.
And he also said that one of the main reasons that they didn't start the garbage dump in Borden Town was because the government pretty much knew that the same thing was going to occur in Borden Town with the situation with the garbage in Georgetown. Was the same thing was going to occur in Borden Town because of them not, I guess, not doing it in the appropriate, in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to find some solution because it's just a matter of time for that garbage dump be 10 stories high. Right now it's 6 stories high, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's 6 stories high because I went Margaritaville. I rented an apartment there for 2 days and I was on the 5th floor. And the garbage dump was higher than the 5th floor at Margaritaville. So if our population is going to increase, and we have a lot of restaurants here, Dwayne.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of restaurants here, and they throw away a lot of garbage. So it's just a matter of time before we find ourselves in some serious problems with that garbage dump. And after it gets so high where it is right now, we're going to have to move it. Whether people in certain districts want it or not, the government is going to say they're putting it there because it's something that we're going to end up having to do. But we have to find a country that is willing to take our garbage, that is recyclable, and selling it to them, or we have to ourselves recycle garbage and put it to good use. For instance, in certain places in Honduras right now, they're recycling plastic and using the plastic to make roads.
But do you think then, if we go back to our older sort of practices, just in Cayman alone, we would see that we were a little bit more conscious of what we had, and we didn't waste. What is it? Waste not, want not. Would that be difficult to get our people to that practice again?
Well, a lot of people are wasting a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially people who have a lot of finances and don't realize the importance of, like what they say, rich man's garbage is what? Poor man's treasure.
Yeah, one man's meat is another man's poison, huh?
Yeah, like for instance, like that then.
No, I follow you, man. Affluence can be a double-edged sword if you're not careful, huh?
But I see in the future we're going to find ourselves in a situation with this garbage dump that it's going to be it's going to end up being in international news, because right now they say Cayman is the most expensive place in the world, you know.
Yeah, if we keep repeating that without qualifying it, we might find ourselves like so many things, saying things that are not exactly accurate either, you know.
Yeah, well, we're not far from being the most expensive place in the world, to tell you the God's truth.
Yeah.
When you compare the price of what we're paying for a gallon of gas compared to the United States, and what we're paying, what our utility bills are,
mm-hmm.
and like I said before, there's another thing the government needs to try to get sorted out, and not allow our utility company to keep raising prices the way that they are, because like I said, when CUC raises their prices, the price of everything goes up, like in the supermarket and wherever else, and then it even sometimes it will even stop employers from giving their employees a raise because of having to pay so much when it comes to electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So and then also the banks the banks now, the mortgage that people have to pay, the bank every month is also causing us a problem when it comes to the cost of living here in Cayman, because if you want to rent a place, in Cayman Bay to open a business, what Cayman Bay is paying the bank every month for mortgage will increase their prices on what they're renting that space for, and then those people that are renting the space, if they're not making enough money as they thought they were going to make, then that would be another problem again in giving their employees a raise, and then that hurts the poor people too. Doing when CUC and these types of people get away with these types of things, because sometimes the electricity bill is so high for poor people. That money that they could be saving to go away on vacation with their children, they can't do so because the CUC is taking advantage of the poor people who are hurting more than anybody else when CUC raises their rates. And that happens every year, Dwayne.
It seems like during the summers as well. All right, well, listen, thank you for that, and I do apologize, Ms. Susan. I see we have missed the break. All right, but thanks for the engaged discussion. Let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore,
It was great catching up with you. I've got to go pick up my prescription at Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor.
But you live in West Bay. Do you know you can go to Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square, their second location?
Really?
Yes, and if you go to healthcarepharmacy.ky, you can refill and transfer your prescriptions online and collect at either location.
That's so convenient. Thanks. I'm off to Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square.
Healthcare Pharmacy Grand Harbor, Healthcare Pharmacy Governor Square, and always healthcarepharmacy.ky.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
RC Fusion is proudly sponsored by Purple Dragon, building the strong leaders of tomorrow.
Cool.
Call 946-1241 or email purple@cnw.ky.
Sailing the High Seas.
That's the theme for this year's Miss Teen pageant.
The 39th annual Miss Teen Cayman Islands pageant will be held at the Lions Community Center on Saturday, August 24th. Gates open at 5:30 p.m. Showtime is at 7 p.m.
Tickets are available at Funky Tangs, Lorna's Rubis, The Finishing Touch, Sings Roadie Shop, and Event Pro. Premium seating is $40 pre-sold, $50 at the gate. General admission is $25 pre-sold, $30 at the gate. Children ages 6 to 12, $15 pre-sold, $20 at the gate. Thanks to our sponsors, Digicel, Marshall's Rent-A-Car, Grandville House, CUC,
Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands, The Finishing Touch, Rubis, King Sports Center, Eclipse Hair Design and Day Spa,
Island Embroidery, Margaritaville Beach Resort, and Radio Cayman. See you at the Lions Center on Saturday, August 24th.
The Miss Teen 2019 pageant, we are sailing the high seas.
Support our port, support our tourism.
The cruise berthing facility will be paid for by the cruise passengers who use it, and not by our people or our government. This is a win for Cayman. Support the port. Support our tourism.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. It is open line as we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us. 949-8037, 949-6990. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Or if you want, you can even email. You see all the different ways we got you to, catch us. Other places got more, but sometimes, more can be less. Less can be more. As long as it's better, doesn't matter. Make it better for you, make it better for others. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Share your thoughts with us as we wrap up the program for the week. It's all about you. It's for you. It's what it should be, Now, what is it that you think is important? The last caller, I think, is always on point, and his perspective relative to having to address the issue of the landfill. Not just making sure that a new facility is properly managed, that we're able to ensure that we're recycling so everything's sorted and whatever's there we can use appropriately and properly. But there's no leaching, that the facility can take us through for, if possible, another 100 years. Now, the question that he didn't ask, but I know a number of people have posited over the time, is why is it that seemingly that if a government is doing a project, even if that project was one that we've seen completed elsewhere, over there it's one amount, here it's 10 times more. I'll give you as an example. A fellow said one time he was making a proposal to government, informally. We would like to do something, call it a sports, civic sort of arena. I gave examples and said, okay, just for argument's sake, over here in this part of the world, there's a comparatively, relatively speaking, a similar size jurisdiction or similar costs in terms of the building and the like. But it's $1 million. Here, it's going to be 10 million. Why? We seemingly will spend more and get less. Why is it, as he has shared, that when a government does something, it seems to cost more? We seem to be prepared for it to cost more. We want it to be less than what the private sector would demand, would get. Now, he gave examples over the years where a government is building a building, and right next door, a private sector entity, whether it's a bank or some other entity, building a similar building. And one costs, one amount, and the other costs a whole lot more. Well, maybe we just accepting of it, and we accuse, people of making backdoor deals, or we just say, oh, it's just government inefficiency. Well, that's an indictment on us, isn't it? Either way, because we're paying for it both ways. I think it's not the norm. I don't think that's what it should be. It should be that we get the best and we pay, no more than we should. But again, mindsets. 949-8037, 949-6990. Toll free with the compliments of flow if you so choose. 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for participating. Let's go to our phones. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, how are you today, my friend? How are you?
Not bad, sir. And yourself?
Oh, man, I tell you, man, some days I feel so good, I even think I'm tall.
I heard you saying something about looking in the mirror, but it sounded too scary for me to listen any further.
Oh, you know your friends, though. You know your friends.
No, man. Just pulling your leg.
Right ahead, man.
I did want to raise a topic that has been raised on many occasions before. We've heard it so many times, but yet we don't seem to progress. I decided that I would like to raise it from the perspective, from a different perspective, perhaps.
Okay.
And that is the question of enforcement of our laws, the existing laws we have on our books, many of which are reasonably good laws that only if they could be enforced across the board and regularly and appropriately. Not to say that they aren't, that some of them aren't, but not all of them are, and certainly not on a regular basis. In particular, I'm speaking to the issues that surround the labor law, which badly needs revision, and many governments have talked about that, but also the immigration law. However, my main focus right now is the labor law. And the perspective that I'd like to take on this is the following, if you don't mind, or if you'd allow me the leeway, is that, we talk about progress in the Cayman Islands, and we talk about our statistics annually and our per capita GDP and so on. And we seem to have some difficulties calculating the actual quality of life factor. And I've yet to see, and maybe the ESO has these stats, but I've yet to see any international recognition of Cayman being high up the ladder in terms of overall quality of life, which is a little bit surprising given our per capita GDP. So, how this connects to the issue of the labor law in particular, and some of the other laws that are not regularly enforced, is that my fundamental question: how is it that we all recognize we have to continue to grow and to produce in order to be successful and to feed our families and to keep our economy going, and we all want better and better growth management policies. We want to have sustainability and so on and so forth. Hence, for example, all of the debate regarding the port. And of course, there are other considerations such as the environment and so on. But how is it that realistically we can progress as a country if we do not consolidate, as I believe is the case in most truly progressive countries? If we don't consolidate by ensuring that what we have is actually done, enforced, followed up on, and all the various checks and balances are in place and being followed through. And so it's just something I'd like to raise to see whether others might wish to contribute to the debate or the discussion, because the fact is that we are moving forward without actually consolidating what we currently have. And we seem to be moving from one issue of controversy to the next about the next developmental project, yet what we currently have has not yet been fully even wedded in some instances.
As I listen to you, I mean, the notion that we would compare and we came on to other jurisdictions important, but like I said, the quality of life. But equally, when we start repeating things, about Cayman and about Caymanians, if we're not doing it, one, accurately, and two, with a view to make it better, then are we just trying to divide and somehow destroy the country and its psyche? Right.
Yeah, I mean, well, I assume you're posing that as a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to be clear,
Thank you.
I mean, my opinion on that is that, what I think is probably the logical answer that most people would give, that people who are the powerhouses of business and the drivers of business often have a lot of say, obviously, in what occurs. Mm-hmm. And I'm certainly not one to take sides or point fingers in that regard, because obviously there are some very highly responsible corporate citizens that do a good job by people of the islands. There are also some highly irresponsible ones as well. Hopefully they are in the minority. But to answer your question, the thing is that whether we're developing for Caymanians or not so sure that we're even coming close to accurately saying that we are. I noted that the recently selected beautiful new Miss Cayman Islands gave in her answer to the question that was asked of her that being Caymanian means also embracing the various cultures that have now become a part of Cayman. So what is a Caymanian has now expanded, of course. Nevertheless, the fundamentals of your question remain the same. Are we developing for the people who are Caymanians? Mm-hmm. And the answer is still the same. That is not clear.
All right. Would you be mindful? somehow Miss Susan said, just because it's your last day in office don't mean you got to take a license. Would you be mindful to hold on? We can call you back if you want. She's going to chat with you just to make sure, so we can continue this discussion and go to our news. Stay tuned, please.
Radio K-Man. Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Thema Thai Lounge hosts a K-Man showcase tomorrow night to provide an environment for at-risk youth to develop life skills in a healthy environment. The Young Business and Professional Women's Club brought Florida musician Theo Jones down for a week of workshops with local teens, culminating in the concert on Saturday at the Hartwell Theater. You can find out more at Thai Lounge's Facebook page. In international headlines, U.S. President Donald Trump declared today that he had hereby ordered American companies with operations in China to immediately start looking for an alternative after Beijing announced a series of retaliatory tariffs. But as markets in the U.S., Asia, and Europe tumbled, the White House offered no further details or explanation of Trump's intentions. Instead, the president tweeted he would be, quote, responding to China's tariffs this afternoon. And he said this is a great opportunity for the U.S. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who has endeavored to lead his country since he was a boy, will get his first moment on the world stage in his new role at the Group of Seven summit in France this weekend. The man who has said his ambition as a child was to be, quote, world king, could be the shortest-serving prime minister in British history if he fails to get his high-stakes gambit to force the European Union to reopen Brexit talks. As Johnson prepares to meet with world leaders, including U.S. President Donald Trump, opponents at home are plotting to bring him down with a no-confidence vote after Parliament returns from its summer recess next month. The 55-year-old who took power last month is betting his political future on a promise to lead Britain out of the EU on August 31st with or without an agreement. Those are your headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio K-Man, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiokman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio K-Man is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio K-Man.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's eye exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Get half off a complete pair of glasses with any student's eye exam now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook, located in Caymanian Village.
Terms and conditions apply.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Attention!
Family and friends, now hear this.
Le Classique has up to 75% off all shoes for men and women.
Family and friends, call your auntie, call your mother, call your sister. All shoes on sale, 30, 40, and yes, up to 75% off.
Uncle Joe, the land belt's on sale too, 40% off and up to size 4 to 4. Le Classique Family and Friends sale.
This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Miss it? You madawa.
Steve Higgins Productions, in association with the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens,
the Cayman Islands Cancer Society,
and the De Silva Family Trust presents
Music of the Hearts. A fantastic evening of excellent music presented by Delia Winter,
April Marr,
and Steve Higgins at the Marriott Beach Resort, 7 Mile Beach, Sunday, September 1st, 2019 at 6 p.m. Sponsored by
Harney's,
Applebee,
SMP,
NCB Capital Markets,
Jamaica Tourist Board,
and Radio Cayman. Tickets $25.
Available at Funky Tanks,
Super Stitch, or any member of the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, or call
925-9134.
That's 925-9134. Proceeds will go towards the Cayman Islands Cancer Society and the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. That's Steve Higgins and Friends in Music of the Heart. Sunday, September 1st at the Marriott Beach Resort. Don't miss it.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks very much to that caller for being so gracious with his time and hanging on so we could hit the news. Hey, thanks for holding, man. You were sharing with us?
My pleasure, sir. And don't let anybody ever suggest that you can't hand out licks as well. My goodness. So I apologize for being misunderstood just now. I didn't mean to I wasn't trying to give you an underhanded insult.
No, man. No, listen. I hope nobody took it that way. Listen, man.
But I just
thank you, though.
Yes, sir. So I just would like to draw it back to a conclusive point rather than to spread the thought process too far. And I'm sorry for being so verbose, perhaps, but it
could be the legal training here.
Perhaps.
All right.
But some might say it should be the other way around. But the fact is that we really do have a serious problem with a lack of enforcement of our laws, and there are always excuses that can be used, but the simple answer must be that we should not be going beyond our means to enforce our system of regulation by expanding further if we can't currently control what we have. And I am particularly concerned about the many people who don't have a voice or don't feel they have a voice, who are made to suffer as a result of how impoverished our labor law is and how pro-employer it is. And it really, really needs serious attention. And we've been promised by numerous governments that it was going to be revised, and it has never, ever succeeded through the Legislative Assembly. And that is my basic point, sir.
Well, as I listen to you, we recognize and equal the importance of looking at that. And again, how do we position Cayman? How is Cayman perceived, and how Caymanians are looking at our country? Are we holding our heads high? Not because what people say, you're proud, but because we have pride. Right. Hey, appreciate you sharing, man. Remember, open invitation for you to sit next to me when you're ready.
All right, thanks, sir.
All right, you too.
Afternoon.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good, Dwayne. It's Suzanne. How are you?
Wow. Now, the people with the big brains and the eloquence, we get a chance. Thank you very much, Miss Suzanne.
I've just been sitting, enjoying your show today. There are many very interesting topics the callers have raised, and I just wanted to touch on, I guess, 2 points.
Yes, ma'am.
To the last caller, I agree with him entirely that we have to be mindful of getting too big. There's something to be said for doing something and doing it well, right?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to just put it in place and what you have in is mediocre, ineffective, inefficient, and then you move on because it sounds good. It sounds like you're doing something. I think one of the things that Cayman has always prided itself is on its quality, and whether it's quality of service or quality of product. And I think likewise with our legislation, with the services that we offer, we have to provide quality. And if there is an issue arising out of, if it's our labor force, we need to be honest, create a platform, talk about it, identify the issues, and fix the problem. Because at the end of the day, our entire industry is kind of based on human services anyway. So... but I was really calling about the recycling and the landfill issue. the gentleman who called before, he had raised some very valid points. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents in, not my area of expertise, but as a consumer of waste, as a consumer and somebody who produces waste as an individual, I find it really curious why our government has not even tackled the other areas of waste management. I was looking online the other day, and I found that in the Canadian government, they actually have a philosophy about waste management.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to, in different ways, incorporate the 4 R's, which is reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually interested that we only speak of recycling, but recycling is the 3rd level. It's not even number 1.
Reduce, huh?
Because reduction, trying to reduce your waste, should be the number 1 sort of opportunity that we are trying to leverage. How do we, as you say, like the olden days, be very conscious? We have 65,000 people here who are full-time residents. We have hundreds of thousands of people here who are visitors and who overnight, and a couple million, I guess, who come on vacation to the cruise tourism. And we don't even explore ways, I think, as a country on how to reduce the waste that is produced by us. You know, a lot of countries are talking about elimination of single-use plastics.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed, for example, if I go to a restaurant, if I go to a fast food store, most of the times I'm going home, and I have started to say to them, you know what, do not give me the knife and fork.
Mm-hmm.
I have knife and forks at home. I started using the stainless steel straws
Mm-hmm.
because they are damaging, you
Right.
know, and it's the consciousness of your behavior and their behavior. But we have no country policy. We have no country philosophy. We don't talk about the issues apart from forums such as yours if you choose to raise it, or if the members choose to raise it. There's no government initiative
Right.
that is ongoing. And I think, you know, these are the things that, you know, allow countries to move forward in a way for the betterment of the society. I think the government needs to, I think the whole country, but the government in particular, we need to decide what we want to be.
A national vision, huh?
Yeah, I know we always go back to Vision 2008, and I am quite certain that there are very core values in there that will not change with us moving forward. But we are now in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be having the conversation of what Cayman looks like in the next 25 years.
Cayman 20 to 50.
And 25 to 50 years. And what do we want to be? What do we want to look like? How are we going to, what is our society going to be like? And we're not having those conversations, and there's no initiative for it.
Let me ask the question, what if that conversation is being had but in other quarters and not involving us? What if there was one person or a group of people who decided...
That will fail. It will totally fail because it takes a society to make a country.
Right.
Right. And if the discussion is we need to get to 100,000 people, don't just put it out there. Explain why. Why is it relevant?
Are we having that discussion? I mean,
well, apparently not. Statements are being made.
By whom? And who is?
Well, some of it's being made in government, and some of it's being made in the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised if certain initiatives inside of government are using that number informally without formally applying it. Right? But, you know, have we actually looked at the growth of our society? Have we looked at it over how much we've grown in the last 15, 20 years? And what are the projections for our growth? Do we want to continue to have unmanaged growth? Or do we think we should be managing our growth in a particular way? Are we preparing our infrastructure for this growth? What are we doing in terms of schools? What are we doing in terms of housing? What are we doing in terms of transportation? What are we doing in terms of healthcare? What are we doing in terms of workers' rights and workers' freedoms?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so all of those things, I sympathize with a lot of what I am hearing, because I too, as a citizen, I have the same questions. I'm at the time of my life where I'm not looking at the world through rose-colored glasses anymore. I'm a bit older, but I'm at the stage where I am halfway through my life, halfway through my career, and I would like to know what is going to happen in my society that I live in when I become older.
Right. The safety.
When I'm not going to be one of those talking heads,
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to say, oh well, she's kind of had her day. No, I want to know where we're going, and we need to kind of step back. We need to step back. We are small enough to do it.
Right. Less can be more, right?
Yes, and take your time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to rush things. I see we building these roads. We believe in building roads, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And as the gentleman who called, the second to last caller, said, in some countries they're using plastics. I know in some countries they're using tires. I know in other countries they're using glass.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? Right? We have the landscaping companies here are everywhere. They're ubiquitous. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in the landfill they're supposed to separate that waste. But what is happening to the waste afterwards? Are we reusing it? Are we composting it?
Mm-hmm.
We have a very vibrant farming community that can use that compost.
Right. And it would help us.
Gardeners.
Right. Arable lands.
I can't tell you where I must go to get compost unless I go to like A.L. Thompson or Vigoro and them places.
You buy an imported stuff as opposed to reusing what you said.
You have on islands. So that is why my comment is, I guess the essence of my comment is that I think in some of our areas we just need to slow down, step back and look at the big picture, and try, if we're going to do something, do it properly.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, and whether you choose to respond to or not, but just a collective sort of question to the collective. Where are we as a people when it comes to asking questions of our society, questions to the government and questions to the private sector? The questions you've just asked, sadly, are not being asked sufficiently, publicly.
Where are the forums to ask those questions? Where are the fora? Right?
Good point.
Where are the platforms to do that? If we have the infrastructure constitutionally to allow these things to be asked at not so high up in government, but slightly lower down at the community level.
Mm-hmm.
But there doesn't seem to be the drive or the interest to implement those kind of bodies that would allow that to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take it while I'm gone, because you give me something to meditate on. And when I come back, maybe I'll start asking those questions more here. And if this platform can become an avenue for such, I guess, for facilitating such discourse, let's see if there'll be any fallout. Maybe I can call on you.
Well, Dwayne, I think you're doing an excellent job. I think you do ask a lot of questions, but to what extent are these things taken formally and escalated up? And really, it's not your responsibility to do that.
Well, thank you.
The government needs to have its pulse on what the people are saying.
Yeah. Well, the purpose is to repeat the questions some have asked, but also to ask the public to start asking more questions. All right. Listen, thanks very much for sharing with us, right? Maybe we'll be able to delve into your great intellect more.
Oh, no. I'm just an ordinary person listening, enjoying the program.
All right. Thank you very much, Mom.
Okay, all right.
Have a blessed weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Again, Miss Susan said, boy, you're missing a break. She gives me a little bit of leeway today. Well, she's all because of that caller. We would love to hear from our callers. Let's pause though. Final break. When we come back, more talk today.
Parents, do you know what time it is?
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
But it's not Christmas time. But school is nearly back in session. Is your child ready for the school year? Stop by Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village and pick up all of your child's stationery supplies. With 30% off selected items, you won't need to break the bank to get your little one prepared for the school year. You have enough to worry about. Make back to school a breeze with Savannah Pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, or call 946-3336.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Sailing the high seas. That's the theme for this year's Miss Teen pageant.
The 39th annual Miss Teen Cayman Islands pageant will be held at the Lions Community Center on Saturday, August 24th. Gates open at 5:30 p.m. Showtime is at 7 p.m.
Tickets are available at Funky Tangs, Lorna's Rubis, The Finishing Touch, Sings Roadie Shop, and Event Pro. Premium seating is $40 pre-sold, $50 at the gate. General admission is $25 pre-sold, $30 at the gate. Children ages 6 to 12, $15 pre-sold, $20 at the gate. Thanks to our sponsors, Digicel, Marshall's Rent-A-Car, Granville House, CUC,
Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands, The Finishing Touch, Rubis, King Sports Center, Eclipse Hair Design and Day Spa,
Island Embroidery, Margaritaville Beach Resort, and Radio Cayman. See you at the Lions Center on Saturday, August 24th.
The Miss Teen 2019 pageant, we are sailing the high seas.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Certainly appreciate what I think is a distinct privilege and honor to be able to sit here and hopefully add some value to your day. Hopefully, as the last caller has, reminded us, we need to ask questions. So we need to be willing to seek meaningful, constructive, timeless solutions, and we need to think long term for our own sort of well-being 50 years from now, but for our children and their children and their children, so that we have a sustainable, healthy, safe, stable, secure, successful society. Now, sometimes the comments we make, the questions we ask, sadly, some say, setting up for a political run, are you? Others will say, and you think he was in political? It may be, it just may be, but it's a small society. We need to encourage more of us to be politically involved. I'll say this as a politically motivated statement. If you're eligible to be registered, please get registered to vote so that you can be a part of our democracy. If that's a political statement I should make, somebody chastise me. Let's take our calls. Let's see if we can get them all. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Green.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today, sir?
That's fine. I wasn't able to hear most of your show, but I did hear some of what the young lady said. It's wonderful listening to young people. I want to congratulate new Miss Cayman, wonderful young lady, very bright, articulate, and very knowledgeable in the subjects she has chosen. And they're very, all of them were, I've listened to them, and it's excellent stuff. Very articulate and very in command of their intellect, and that they portray that they sensible knowledge of things far beyond their years in what they're talking about. That's very good. And I have nothing but high praise for them. They'll make wonderful ambassadors for our country. And the same with Miss Teen. I've listened to them, I've met them, and so forth. Sterling Green, I hate
Yes,
to
sir.
be the Grinch, but what I'd like to say is this. When we say you, I found myself no longer saying you. It's the people.
The people.
Because we have got to understand we are a very unique country. I don't know any other country that has more than quadrupled its population in 40 years or so. So we have no country nowhere to use as a template to sort of form a guideline for what we're planning to do, or the people, I should say, I'm still saying we, to run this country. And we have to at all times remember we are a British Crown colony, Crown territory, whichever terminology you choose to use. It's the same thing.
But before you go on...
Many of the very important things we want, changes we want to make, it must be approved by the British. But the things you're talking about, the litter, the garbage, all those things can be done by us ourselves. What we have to understand, the second thing is that we are the only country I know of that has no form whatsoever of direct income tax, not in any moment. So it is a very unique situation we're in. And many of the countries we keep comparing this country to are in that bracket where they have that. And it provides for different situations and different things that the government can do. We have to hustle and share around money here, money there, and try to find a place in the budget for certain things. We can recycle, and we should be recycling. But we have to build certain places or certain institutions to do certain things with the recycled stuff and all that. Therein comes the thing. We can have private partnerships and so forth. But one thing we've got to realize also with one serious issue, it's two really, is that we turned over the mandatory health insurance for private sector, which is 85% of the population, employed working population, the private sector more than that, to the private sector, the control of it and how it's run, the health insurance and so forth. I don't know any other country has ever done anything like that. And the same thing with the pensions. And those are very important aspects of our whole society. It affects how we move forward. It affects everything. When we say we are moving forward, who are the we? Indigenous Caymanians are minorities. So we're going to say, I've said it before and others have said it, we are going to have to differentiate the indigenous Caymanians that are generational, if you want to put it that way, and put us in a special bracket of taxation of everything to move forward. That has always been something that I have believed in. It may sound ridiculous, but think about it. Think about it. When it comes to the health, it comes to the pensions, it comes to payments for certain things that are intrinsic and part of life, we're going to have to think seriously about something like that. And the rest of people, we can put in another category. They've done it in the United States with the Red Indians, that we call them. And they're in a special tax bracket. They have special privileges that no one else can get.
But they also share that they're on a reservation as well, too. Maybe that's where they plan to put us.
Yes, but they do. But you've got to understand that we keep saying the we. And I know when people say that we, they're talking about generational Caymanians. They don't say it, but that's what they mean.
But then, I hear you. But with respect to your perspective on taxation, direct and otherwise, what do we say to when people share, well, it's already a heavily taxed jurisdiction, the cost of living and the cost of doing business, the cost of acquiring capital to expand and set up businesses is already exceedingly high. Would more taxes and direct taxes on our incomes, what would that do for entrepreneurship, for profits, and for incentivizing people?
It is not more taxes, Sterling Dwayne. It is utilizing the money that people earn, like what Bermuda did. payroll tax only. Take it out of them. They're in the same business that we are in. We're not manufacturing a manufacturing country. We manufacture a few things. We know that. But that could never keep us. But what we do are the same things that Bermuda does. We're in the financial world, and then we do the tourism. But the problem is this. We don't have a system whereby those who are earning big monies are equally carrying their share of the load. It's no use saying they are. They're not. It's a trickle-down type of system. We could cut out a lot of the consumption-based taxes or bring them down, way down, if we were to do this, if we were to implement a payroll tax only like Bermuda has, where everyone pays it. Everyone pays it. So you're not hurting the investor at all. You're simply telling the guy who is earning $500,000, $5 million a year, you're going to have to pay 10% of that in a salary tax. You're going to have to do it. The little guy who is earning very little will pay very little. So he'll come out with a fair share. Then we'll do it where you pay a percentage of that goes towards your health insurance, a percentage. I've said this over and over and over, and others have said it, towards your pension. And we cut out this mandatory health insurance thing immediately, paying to private companies, and mandatory pension, paying to private companies. It's billions of dollars in those things. If you want that, if you can afford it, you can have it. But you must pay that national system. That's what it's called in most countries, a national health system, where you all pay it and you all get the benefits of it. Right now, it's very unequal, very unfair. The government has to take up the slack. And you know that what I'm saying, thousands and thousands of people have to be covered by it because health insurance companies do not cover certain things. They don't cover certain people. They don't pay for certain things.
Well, I hope people are willing to take up what you shared and are seeing, as you look at it from that perspective, that it may be, in the best interest. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing that, and we've hopefully been encouraged by you and equally borrow as you shared, have that courage to say those things. Thank you very much, sir. To our listeners, enjoy your weekend. Susan's going to be here, so why don't you call her up and, have a couple of requests for her between now and 3 o'clock, and then, of course, Lynn and Joel and all those guys are the great on-air talent, the best in the country. So be a part of what they have to share. Monday, Start will be hosting For the Record, so join him for it. Talk Today. Who's hosting Talk Today? Well, thanks to Miss Norma and Miss Paulette for giving me a couple of days off. I'm going to take it and enjoy it. And as the days roll on, hopefully I'll roll back as well. Still find a comfortable chair and a welcome reception when I return. If I have my job, we'll see. No, just kidding. Just a short break. Sometimes it's good to get away. Let me leave it at that. All right. You guys have a great time. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you very, very much. Until I return, continue to be blessed.